What if everything you know is just one possibility among infinite realities? What if you could open a door to worlds where everything is completely different? What if you discovered that, in another dimension, your life took an entirely unexpected turn? Today, we're diving into the fascinating concept of traveling between dimensions. Imagine meeting alternate versions of yourself, stepping into universes with unimaginable laws of physics, or encountering technologies so advanced they defy our understanding. Get ready for a journey where curiosity is your only ticket, and every what if could completely change the way you see your own reality. Let's explore this universe of possibilities together. Alterations to our current reality. If we could travel to other dimensions, one of the most fascinating and unsettling outcomes would be the impact on how we perceive our current reality. Think about it. What if the history you've always learned no longer existed as you know it? Imagine waking up in a dimension where major world events never happened. Perhaps the world wars didn't occur, the Renaissance never took place, or your home country followed an entirely different historical path. What if Brazil, for instance, had become a global superpower, or if it had never even been colonized at all? These changes wouldn't just be intellectual curiosities, they would challenge your very identity. Picture stepping into a dimension where technology is centuries ahead of ours. Flying cars fill the skies, diseases have been eradicated, and thought-powered devices have replaced smartphones. But what if, in another reality, humanity never even progressed beyond the industrial age? A world where electricity wasn't discovered and societies relied on entirely different forms of energy, like sound, light, or even emotions. On a personal level, these changes could hit even closer to home. What if you discovered that in another dimension you were never born? Or maybe your family looks completely different, siblings you've never met, parents who made entirely different life choices. Imagine walking through what you think is your hometown, only to find the streets unrecognizable, the language unfamiliar, and the culture so foreign that it feels like you're a stranger in a world that should have been yours. At the same time, these changes might be thrilling. What if you stumbled upon a version of yourself who had taken all the chances you never dared to take? Maybe this alternate you pursued a passion you gave up on, or lived a life you always dreamed of but never thought possible. While this could inspire you, it might also make you question your current life choices. If you saw a better version of yourself thriving in another dimension, how would that affect how you view your own achievements or your regrets? Ultimately, the ability to explore other dimensions would force us to reevaluate the meaning of reality itself. It would show us that the world we know is not fixed or absolute. It's just one of countless possibilities shaped by specific events, decisions, and circumstances. The question is, after visiting these other dimensions, would you still see your own reality the same way, or would you yearn to step through the door to a different one, encountering alternate versions of ourselves? If traveling to other dimensions became possible, one of the most mind-bending experiences would be meeting alternate versions of ourselves. Imagine walking into a dimension and seeing someone who looks exactly like you, but has lived an entirely different life. What if, in another reality, you're a world-famous musician, an inventor of groundbreaking technologies, or even a reclusive artist living in a remote cabin? This encounter would raise so many questions about identity. For instance, what makes you you? Is it your circumstances, the choices you've made, or something deeper, like your personality or values? Meeting another version of yourself could be both awe-inspiring and unnerving. You might feel proud to see a version of yourself that succeeded where you didn't, but you could also feel a twinge of jealousy or even regret. Let's take an example. Imagine meeting an alternate version of yourself who chose a completely different career path. Perhaps this version of you became a doctor while you pursued the arts. As you compare your lives, you might start to question your own choices. Did you make the right decisions? Would you have been happier following their path? Or maybe they're the ones who envy your life, wishing they had taken the risks you did. But it's not all existential dread. There's humor to be found too. What if you discovered that in another dimension, you were a world-class chef, but couldn't boil water in your current reality? Or what if another version of you had an entirely different personality, outgoing, daring, or even villainous? You might laugh at how absurdly different they are, while secretly wondering how much of them exists in you. However, meeting these alternate selves isn't without its challenges. Would you trust another version of yourself if they offered advice? Or would you question their motives, knowing that they're just as flawed as you are? And what about the temptation to switch places with a version of yourself who seems to be living your dream life? These encounters would force us to confront uncomfortable truths about who we are and who we might have become. But perhaps in the end, we'd realize that every version of ourselves, successful, struggling, or completely different, is a reflection of the infinite potential within us. Technological and cultural exchange. One of the most exciting possibilities of traveling to other dimensions would be the potential for an unprecedented exchange of technology and culture. Imagine stepping into a reality where they've solved some of the biggest challenges we face today: diseases, climate change, and even energy crises. What if, in another dimension, they've invented machines that can clean the atmosphere, teleportation devices that eliminate the need for transportation, or renewable energy sources so efficient that fossil fuels are ancient history? The implications of bringing this knowledge back to our world would be immense. For instance, a single breakthrough from another dimension could transform industries overnight. A cure for cancer developed in a parallel reality might save millions of lives. Advanced robotics and AI from another world might revolutionize the way we work, allowing humans to focus on creativity and personal growth instead of monotonous labor. However, it wouldn't all be so straightforward. Along with these gifts, there would be complex ethical questions. Who gets access to this new technology? How do we ensure it isn't used for harm? Cultural exchange would be just as transformative. Imagine tasting foods from a dimension where cooking techniques are completely different, or hearing music created with instruments we can't even imagine. Even the simplest things, like how people greet each other, celebrate holidays, or express emotions, might vary wildly between dimensions. These experiences could open our minds, challenge our assumptions, and help us see our own culture in a new light. However, not all exchanges would be easy. What if a dimension we visited viewed our world as primitive or chaotic? How would we handle the judgment of beings who might see themselves as superior? And what if their cultural values conflicted with ours? For example, in a world where individuality is frowned upon, they might find our emphasis on personal freedom strange or even offensive. Still, the potential benefits far outweigh the challenges. By learning from other dimensions, we could gain fresh perspectives on how to tackle global problems, build stronger communities, and even redefine what it means to be human. The real question is, are we ready to handle such a profound exchange? The risk of paradoxes and dimensional conflict. Traveling between dimensions wouldn't just be thrilling, it would also be dangerous. The ability to interact with alternate realities could open the door to unexpected paradoxes and even conflicts between dimensions. After all, every action we take in one reality might have unforeseen consequences in another. Imagine this. You bring a piece of advanced technology from another dimension back to ours. It solves a major problem, but over time, It disrupts industries, creates economic instability, or even alters the course of history in ways no one could predict. A seemingly simple decision, like introducing a new energy source, could result in a domino effect that throws our entire dimension into chaos. Even worse, what if dimensions themselves were unstable? Some universes might rely on strict rules of causality, rules that your presence could violate. A single mistake, like taking an object from one dimension or interfering with someone's life, could collapse that reality entirely. Would we even know the risks before it was too late? Then there's the potential for dimensional conflict. What if we discovered a reality that viewed us as a threat? For example, a world with more advanced technology might see our dimension as primitive and try to control or exploit it. On the other hand, we might feel tempted to take resources or knowledge from a less developed reality, leading to ethical dilemmas and possibly interdimensional wars. Paradoxes are another huge concern. Imagine meeting a version of yourself and accidentally causing them harm. Would that harm ripple across dimensions and affect you? Or what if you revealed information about the future of their dimension, only for them to make choices that prevent that future from happening? These scenarios, often seen in science fiction, might not be so far-fetched if dimensional travel became a reality. To manage these risks, strict rules would need to be established, laws that govern what we can and can't do in other dimensions. But even with precautions, one question would linger. How much control do we really have when dealing with the infinite unknown? Exploring universes with different physical laws. One of the most mind-blowing aspects of traveling to other dimensions would be encountering worlds governed by entirely different physical laws. What if you stepped into a reality where gravity was stronger or didn't exist at all? Imagine a world where time moves backward, where colors have sounds, or where water flows uphill instead of down. The possibilities are endless and completely beyond our current understanding of the universe. Take a moment to imagine entering a dimension where light moves at half the speed it does in our world. Everything would look dim and distorted, and communication might even slow down because radio waves wouldn't travel as fast. Or picture a reality where the concept of mass doesn't exist. Objects could phase through one another, and physical structures like buildings would be impossible to construct. Some universes might be so alien that survival itself would be a challenge. For instance, what if you landed in a world where the atmosphere was made entirely of ammonia? Breathing would be impossible, and you'd need to rely on advanced suits or devices just to stay alive. Or what if the laws of thermodynamics were reversed, with heat flowing from cold to hot? Cooking food, staying warm, or even generating electricity would require entirely new methods. But exploring these worlds would also expand our understanding of science and philosophy. Scientists could discover groundbreaking theories by observing how these alternate realities function. A universe where time flows in a loop might help us understand the nature of time itself. A world with additional spatial dimensions could reveal secrets about the fundamental structure of our own universe. Of course, not all discoveries would be practical or safe. Some dimensions might be so dangerous that even a brief visit could be catastrophic. Imagine accidentally unleashing a form of matter or energy from another dimension that doesn't behave according to our physical laws. The consequences could range from minor disruptions to global disasters. Despite the risks, the allure of exploring these bizarre worlds would be impossible to resist. Who wouldn't want to witness a reality where the impossible becomes possible? These journeys would remind us just how small and limited our current understanding is, and how much there is left to discover. New perspectives on existence and the meaning of life. Traveling to other dimensions wouldn't just change how we view science or history, it would fundamentally transform how we see ourselves and the meaning of life itself. Imagine standing In the reality where the concept of life is completely different from what we know? What if sentient beings existed as pure energy, without physical bodies? Or what if life was measured in moments of thought, rather than years? Such experiences would force us to ask deep questions about our purpose. Is life defined by biology, or is it something greater? For example, what if we discovered a dimension where humans never evolved, and instead, another species took our place? Would that make us question our role in the universe, or even our significance? These revelations wouldn't just be philosophical, they'd be deeply personal. Imagine stepping into a dimension where death doesn't exist as we know it. Perhaps consciousness is transferred to new forms indefinitely, or time loops back endlessly, allowing people to relive their lives over and over. Would such a discovery make us appreciate the fleeting nature of our existence, or would it make us long for something more eternal? On the other hand, some dimensions might offer uncomfortable truths. What if you visited a world where humans are insignificant compared to larger cosmic forces? Or a reality where suffering is non-existent because beings there have no emotions? Would such a world feel like paradise, or an eerie, empty shell? These alternate perspectives might also inspire us to rethink how we live in our own dimension. For example, if you visited a reality where cooperation and empathy were the highest values, it could challenge the competitive, individualistic mindset common in many societies today. Or if you saw a world devastated by greed and environmental destruction, it might push you to take action in your own life. Ultimately, traveling to other dimensions would show us that the meaning of life isn't fixed. It's as fluid and diverse as the infinite realities we might explore. The question isn't just what if these dimensions exist, it's what do they teach us about ourselves. The idea of traveling to other dimensions is more than just a fantasy. It's a thought experiment that challenges how we see our reality, our choices, and even our existence. From encountering alternate versions of ourselves to exploring universes with entirely different physical laws, the possibilities are as thrilling as they are thought-provoking. These what-if scenarios push us to rethink our understanding of technology, culture, and even the very meaning of life. But what about you? Do you agree with these conclusions? Are there ideas or dimensions we didn't explore that you think deserve a place in this discussion? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming explorations into the unknown. And before you go, check out the next video that's popping up on your screen. It's packed with even more fascinating what-if scenarios you won't want to miss.